Actually, I'm not that great with the Arnold Schwarzenegger impersonation, so let me just speak with my normal voice. Hey guys, my name is Calvinator. I like to share with people my opinions on certain subjects and let them have a think about it. So I'm guessing I'm what you guys call an opinionator, even though that's not a real word. So for this video, I'll be talking about talent shows in particular. And the question I like to ask you guys is singing overrated? Now, while you guys are thinking about this, I'll go through a long story about why I've decided to talk about this. Now, please note that my story is mostly done in stick figures, and it's done on the program Paint. So if they suck, I'm sorry. So, I'm currently a university student in Australia, and I do a degree in science. But I'm also a classically trained guitarist, and I've been playing guitar for about 10 years. Right now I'm living in a student residential building on campus, also known as a student hall, and this is part of several other halls in the university. Now every year these halls will compete against each other in a series of competitions also known as inter-hall competitions. These competitions can be either sport-based or music-based. One competition in particular is called Inter-Hall Talent Night. Now, in order to get into Inter-Hall Talent Night, you must be able to win Talent Night at your own hall. The thing about Talent Night is that the winners aren't determined by the audience, they're actually determined by judges. And if you're wondering why there's a question mark at the end of judges, I think you'll figure it out by the end of this video. So in my first year, I decided to play a somewhat popular piece. I decided to play the Titanic theme song, My Heart Will Go On, which was transcribed into guitar music by a Korean guitarist named Song Ha-jung. However, in the middle of my performance, I forgot how to play the piece. So unfortunately, I was not chosen to enter Talent Night. Instead, that position went to a guy who did a musical performance about Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Because of this, our student hall got second in the musical section. Now, the second year was memorable, but not in a good way. Instead of playing something popular, I decided to play a piece that I was familiar with. So I played my best piece, which was Prelude No. 1 by a Brazilian composer named Heitor Villa-Lobos. And overall, I did a pretty good job. Now on that night, there were two other performers. Now the first one was a pianist who was exceptionally good. The second one was a singer who sang Shake It Out by Florence and the Machine. She wasn't terrible, but she wasn't really that great or special. At the end of the night, the pianist was the one who was chosen to represent us in Interhall. However, when I went to Interhall Talent Night, I found out the singer was representing us instead of the pianist because he couldn't make it. So in other words, I was last on their list. There are several reasons why this pissed me off. Firstly, we got second last in the musical section of Talent Night. Second, I had friends in the audience that have never seen me play guitar, and unfortunately they never will because they graduated that year. And worst of all, there was a girl in the audience who I had a bit of a crush on, so since I wasn't able to play guitar and impress her, well, I was pretty upset. So in my third year, I decided to move out of my first student hall and into another one. The reason being that this hall is cheaper than my previous hall. But also, in the previous year, this hall actually got lost in the musical section of the Inter-Hall Talent Night. So I kinda thought these guys might be short on musical acts, so I might go over there and help them. That year when Inter-Hall Talent Night came, I once again played Prelude No. 1. During that night, a friend of mine who was an exchange student from Japan was also performing. She sang Time to Say Goodbye by Andre Bocelli. And as a result, she was chosen to represent our hall in Inter-Hall Talent Night. I was a little bit sad that I was unable to enter Inter-Hall Talent Night again. But since this was her only year here, and she did a pretty good job, I decided to wish her good luck, and overall, she did a pretty good job. I don't remember what she got, but it was definitely not second last. So, for the fourth Inter-Hall Talent Night, which was last month, I decided to step it up a bit and play a much difficult piece. I played Caprico Arabe by Francisco Tárrega, a Spanish composer. And during Talent Night at my own hall, I did fairly well. However, once again I was not chosen to enter Inter-Hall Talent Night. And I'll give you 3 guesses who got in. A pianist, B, a violinist, or C, a singer. Actually, the person who represented us in Interhall Talent Night was a guitarist. A singer-guitarist, to be exact. Ow. And just like those bozo judges who made that stupid decision 2 years ago, as a result, we got second last. Now some of you guys might be thinking, well, better luck next year. The only problem is, I'm graduating by the end of this year, so I don't have a next year. So I'm really pissed. Not just because I was not able to get into Interhall Talent Night, but the fact was that I lost to 4 singers. And 2 of them weren't even that great. So yeah, that's my annoying backstory. Ever since the last Talent Night, I've been wondering, why is singing so common in talent shows? I did a little bit of research on Britain's Got Talent filing list, and I found out that about 44% of finalists were singers, 27% were dancers, 8% were non-singing musical acts, and the rest was a very small percentage of various other acts. And the thing is, singing is not just exclusive to talent shows. We have television shows that only focused on singing performances, like Idol. But when Idol wasn't enough, they introduced The X Factor. But when X Factor wasn't enough, they introduced The Voice. Man, I wonder what else they're gonna introduce. The singers? Nah, that's too stupid. I guess the simplest way to answer why singing is so common in talent shows is because it's everywhere. If you think about it, unlike other talents, singing is something that we can do basically anytime, anywhere we want. Cinderella was singing when she was doing her cleaning. Dorothy and her friends were singing when they were walking down the Yellow Brick Road. I mean, think about it, you can't play piano when you're driving, and you can't dance when you're doing, you know, the thing. Not just that, singing is in the media all the time, not just in the radio. Musicals originally started out in the theater, but eventually they became their own genre in movies, as well as TV shows. Apart from actors, most celebrities are singers. I mean, you got Beyonce, you got Michael Jackson, you got Taylor Swift, you got Bon Jovi. If you were given an exam and you had the choice to answer either name 10 modern singers or name 10 modern magicians, I betcha most of you would definitely pick the first option. So yeah, singing is common in talent shows because it's in our lives every day. But do we really need to see more of it? After watching talent shows on TV for such a long time, I eventually got sick of them because I saw so many great acts that didn't make it into the finals. I saw a guy who turned vegetables into musical instruments get eliminated. I saw a guy who played impromptu piano pieces get eliminated. I saw a guy who did a ventriloquist act with a living dog get eliminated. And over what? Singing. Really? Why would you pick singing over these acts? It's like someone who eats plain rice all the time, but then one day he has a spaghetti and he's like, wow, this is much better than rice. But when he's given a survey about what his favorite food is, he picks the rice. Why? I thought you said the spaghetti was better than the rice. Why'd you pick the rice? Now there are a couple of excuses as to why people would normally pick singing over other acts. Now the first excuse is familiarity. I believe the reason that the judges never picked me was because they're not familiar with classical guitar. Singing, on the other hand, was something that they were well aware of, and to them it was a comfortable and safe choice. But honestly, that excuse is a bit lame. People don't win Nobel Prizes because they tell us something that we're familiar with, because that would be boring. They tell us something that's newly discovered and that will gain our interest. The second excuse is marketability. The thing about singers is that after talent shows, people can use them to make money. They can do concerts, they can do live performances on morning shows, and they can also sell CDs. Now, there are a couple reasons why I hate this excuse. Firstly, this is being very lazy. I can think of so many ways that these eliminated talent show acts can be marketable. The guy who was able to turn a carrot into a musical instrument could do kids shows. I mean, imagine if he was on Sesame Street and in Elmo's world, Elmo decided to talk about vegetables. That would be fun, it would be entertaining, because this is something that kids don't see every day. Hey, maybe we might encourage kids to eat their vegetables. As for the impromptu piano piece, he could team up with a professional musician like John Williams. He could just play whatever. And then John Williams could have just assembled all those pieces that he played and then create a masterpiece. Maybe a new musical score for an upcoming movie. And as for the ventriloquist, well, I saw him in Moulin Rouge, so I guess he was doing okay before this. The second reason why I hate this excuse is that it destroys the definition of talent. If you go to dictionary.com and look up the first definition for talent, it will say that talent is a special natural ability or aptitude. Yes, special. As in different, rare, unique, uncommon. And the thing is, because singing is so overused, it doesn't become special anymore. It just becomes normal, like running or breathing. And I'm not saying that I don't love singing, I do. I loved Susan Boyle's act. It was fantastic. It was a shame that she didn't win Britain's Got Talent though. But the thing is, her performance wasn't to show that singing is great. When she first showed up, the judges didn't expect her to be good, but she was. She didn't prove that singing was great. She just reminded us that we should not judge someone based on what they look like. And that's why her performance was inspiring. So just to be clear guys, I have nothing against singing. Unless it's Rebecca Black, Chris Brown, or those two singers who sang at Talent Night but weren't so great. Although it was the judge's decision, so I should probably blame them instead. What I'm trying to say is, please, have some spaghetti. While singing is fun and entertaining, the thing is, if we see so much of it in talent shows, these shows wouldn't look like talent shows anymore. They'd be more like singing contests. So we should see more variety in talent shows. We should see gymnasts. We should see magicians. We should see classical guitarists. And if you just want to see singers, then go to Idol, go to X Factor, go to The Voice. But let these other acts have their chance. So guys, the next time you're watching a talent show and you see another singer, just ask yourself this one question. Does this singer really need my vote? Or is there someone else who deserves it just as much but is doing something far more unique? Have a think about it. Anyways guys, thank you for watching my very first opinion video. So before you go, leave some comments below, positive or negative, I don't mind. If you want something to change like the name or the costume, let me know. If you got something that you want me to talk about, then let me know as well. Although I'm still studying right now, so it will take a while for me to make another video, if I choose to. Other than that, thanks for watching. My name is Calvinator the Opinionator, and have a nice day. Bye.